Good day everyone. I will explain what is client-side programming and the server-side programming using sockets. First of all, Java socket programming is used for communication between applications. So here, socket and server socket class is used. So this is a connection-oriented programming. So the goal of this code or program is to create an echo server where it echoes back whatever it receives from a client. Like for example, if the client sends to the server hello there, so the server will respond also hello there. So let's get started. Let's start from the server side. So packet package, because we are exclusively in the socket package, and we import Java IO buffered reader, input output exception, import input stream reader. Because first we use buffered reader in our code, we also use input output and the input stream reader. We also import java.net server socket and java.net socket because we want to establish a connection. So public class server, we name our class as server, and the public static void main, where we want to execute our codes. And then we create a server socket object, we name it SS. And then we use a particular port number where the program is going to communicate. Here we use 9090 as our port number because this port is available. And then system.out.println saying waiting for the client. And then again, we create a socket object. We name it client, and then we assign it to the SS method, where SS has an accept method. This method is listening to the port number, waiting for the client to connect. Let's switch first for the client side. In order to establish a connection, we need to know the IP address of the server and what port is server program listening to. So we create a socket object. We name it socket, where we provide an IP address 127.0.0.1. We use this because we're running this program to our own computer, and this is the localhost IP address of our own computer. And for the server port, we are running to 9090. So as soon as we construct the socket object for the client side, a connection is already established in the server. So in the server side, for the line 18, the code will continue where it will output you are now connected to the client. And since the client and server are now connected, where it's the most important part, what we're going to do now is how the two objects allow communication to happen. Here, we create a buffered reader, which I called FB, and takes an input new input stream reader. And the input stream reader takes an input client that get input stream. This client that get input stream is a method that is from the socket library, where this method allows to receive an information. For the server perspective, it allows to receive an information from the client side. And on the other hand, on the client side, we create a print writer, which I call PW, and takes an input socket that get output stream, where this socket that get output stream is also a socket library, where its function is to send an information. For the client side, or for the client perspective, it allows to send an information to the server. And for this parameter true, it means that the auto flash is true when it sends a message as soon as you use the print line statement. And here, we create buffered reader and name it key, and takes an input new input stream reader, and the input stream reader takes an input system.in, meaning it will cater what will our keyboard will type. Since we are making an echo server where it repeats what will our client will type. Since we already established the function needed to allow communication to happen for the client and server side, which is the second important thing to do, we can now proceed on the code in order to get the output we desire. Here, we initialize variable input as a string and then use while loop with the condition it will only stop when the input variable is equal to the string exit. As long as it's not equal to exit, system.out.println input your message will be executed. And once you input your message, or once the keyboard will input the message, input equals the key.readline will be executed, meaning the system will read your message and then save it into the input variable. And then the newly inputted variable will be called to the print writer, where it will send the message to the server side. And when the keyboard will type exit, the loop will stop. And the system.out.println you are now disconnected will be executed. And then the socket will be closed, the print writer will be closed, and the system will exit. As we continue for the server side, here we initialize variable receive as a string, and then we use while loop with the condition that the loop will only stop when variable receive is equals to the string exit. As it's still not equal to exit, receive is equals to fb.readline will be executed, meaning the message we receive from the client will be saved into the variable receive, and then it will execute system.out.println response to the client, and after that it will also execute system.out.print with a variable receive, where here it will output the message it received from the client. And when the client's message is equals to exit, the codes here will be executed for the last time before the loop will terminate. And after the loop will terminate, system.out.println will be executed, disconnected from the client, and then the server socket will be closed, the buffered reader will be closed, and the socket client will be closed. Here, as you can see, we use try and catch block because when the client message is equal to the string exit, we will encounter a null pointer exception error. So in order to continue our program despite of null pointer error exception, we use try catch. And now let's try to run our program. Run as. Here it says waiting for the client. As we run our client side, as we go back to the server, here as I run the client side, it displays in the server that I am connected to the client. As I will look at the client side, input your message to the server. I will say hello there. As I look at the server side, it says response to client, hello there. So I will go back again to the client. I'm fine. Thank you. As I look at again to the server, it says I'm fine. Thank you. As I go back again to the client, as I input exit, it says you are now disconnected. As I look at to the server, disconnected from the client.